Hello, welcome to another episode of 8 plus 1, The Classroom. I am your host, Charles Nzali. Today, my guest is Ibrahim Ceesay. Ibrahim is a young Gambian who is, a, who is an entrepreneur, a filmmaker, who is also a friend and someone that I look up to, someone that I learned a lot from as far as filmmaking and production and things like that are concerned. Ibrahim, welcome to 8 plus 1, The Classroom.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. For sure. So, I was gonna say something like Mandingo or Wolof, but I was like, which one should I pick? So, Abenyadi.
Ibrahim, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are some of the things that you're doing right now,
Mhm.
aka what are some of the ventures
Wow.
that you're doing right now.
Okay. Well, I came from Gambia and I grew up in Banjul. Pretty much my whole life. That's where I lived. But eventually we moved to Bruceby. And after graduating from Wise, that's how I ended up in America. But I came here and I was going to school for accounting, and I also minored in computer science, and that's how I basically got into entrepreneurship and just getting super curious and then wanting to learn a a, a skill set that one of my friends back in college had, which was building websites, and that's how I was just super very much into what he was doing because it looked super cool. The fact that he was building code upon code, and I've always seen that in films, and I was like, you know what, I want to learn how to do that, and I basically just followed him, and then he would show me things here and there, and that's how I got into web design first. I got my first client all the way out in Texas, so it was pretty exciting. So that's kind of the first step of my entrepreneurship journey. So yeah, let me just stop from there before I go on a long roller coaster. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. How
Mhm.
how did everything come about?
Good
From
question.
you seeing your friends have a skill
Mhm.
and you learning that skill, trying to learn the skill from him
Mhm.
to where you are now. How did it all connect together?
Interesting. Well, I mean, back in West Africa, going to school, I was a really smart kid. I was able to pick up a lot of things, and I also, skipped 2 grades, and I was in the same class with my older, brothers, friends.
Yeah.
So it was always me, always trying to be as cool as them because they're all older than me. So there were moments where I would come out second or third in the class first semester, and then the second semester I'll come out 22 because it was I wanted to fit in as the cool kid, you would say. But yeah, so I was able to always pick up things pretty quickly and learn. But I think I got them from my family. The Dumbia Kunda and Ceesay Kunda. We have we are very prideful, you would say. So me watching my uncles and my grandpa, my dad, no one worked for anyone. They all had their own businesses. So it was people will wake up and go do their thing. So that's what I grew up seeing pretty much my whole life. And when I came here in America, and basically I had that work ethic already. Always wanting to figure things out and learn new things. So me seeing my friend, and then I had no idea what was gonna come out of it, but I just wanted to learn honestly at the beginning of it, and I was very curious, and it was so much fun to learn something different, and I've always been very intrigued with computers, how do they work, and I had computers back then, but I didn't really have the knowledge of what they can really do, if you know how to actually use them. So it all came together from me being curious and me being around people that always were ready to learn and always trying to build something, themselves. So I kind of just grew up seeing that, so it was normal for me to like be in a different environment and then have those same skill set and that same curiosity. So I hope that makes sense and answers
Yeah,
the question.
it makes sense. Seeing something that somebody has, a skill that somebody has, and you are interested in learning that skill from that individual,
Yeah.
and you give it time, and then you actually paid attention to learn that skill from that individual. I know it's not an easy thing to do because you have to pretty much subdue yourself to certain things in order to be able to learn from this person. And then
yeah.
it's also a thing of you have to swallow your pride sometimes in order to get what you need. And then was accessing that information from this particular guy that you learned from, was it easy to access the information from him?
No, no. I mean, it was not at all. And the funny part was that he doesn't even know how to teach. So, but I was a very patient person. I mean, I still am, especially now that I'm a dad. But I was always patient and I always wanted to learn. And he had no idea how to teach me. So I feel like I was the one who was, I had the drive, and I told myself that I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna figure out how exactly, what exactly do I need to do to like learn this from this guy. So it wasn't easy at all because he didn't know how to teach, and he was very quiet. So it was like whenever he would explain something to me, it would take like an hour for him to even figure out how to explain it because he's so good at it, but he doesn't know how to teach it. So. But I feel like a lot of people would like want to learn something, but then they don't have the patience. So patience is definitely something that's like required for basically anything that you are aspiring to do, especially education from someone else that's like the same age as you. So I had that patience to like actually sit down and be like, hey, dude, let's spend an hour and then you can tell me what exactly is CSS, like what the heck is JavaScript, what do I need to do, like all these things. And I mean, it was fun for sure, but it wasn't easy at all. It was very challenging and very frustrating.
Let's look at what is it exactly you do. Right? You have two companies. I don't know if it's just two because you're very industrious. We have Alcamba Pro and Alcamba Express. First, can you break down what the name Alcamba is and the origin of the name?
Yeah, definitely.
And on an individual basis, what Alcamba Pro is doing and what Alcamba Express is doing.
Yeah, definitely. So the name Alcamba, it's like actually a village in like Gambia I'm called like Kudang.
Yeah.
So Kudang is the same name as Alcamba, which means community. So they have this thing where pretty much. So growing up, my siblings would always go there, but I wasn't allowed to go there because whenever I go there, I'll have this like allergic like reaction. My skin would break out, and but my other siblings would always go. So whenever they go and then come back, and then they would tell me all these stories about Kudang, and I was like, man, I wish I could be there with you guys and like celebrate and like have fun, but then I'm never able to. So it's like, oh man, I wish I could. And then as I grew up, I like learned that the name Alcamba means like kafo, like community, and I was like, man, like that's such a cool idea because the way that my siblings would explain it, it's such a community based thing where people come together, and they get to like celebrate and like hang out and like sit down at the bantaba. So those were stories that they will always tell me. So. When I started my company, I've always had this vision of having a very tight niche community on a global level, and I decided what better name to call it Alcamba. So just 2 weeks ago, I actually started rebranding the whole company, and because before I had so many different companies called Alcamba, but now I kind of put all of them together into one primary company called Alcamba Company. I'm saying so much Alcamba today, but yeah, it's like Alcamba Company. So. Which is a distribution company now, meaning I distribute content to depending on the company size and what kind of products they sell. But then on a personal level or on my own journey, I basically tell stories, which is doing film and then doing like basically projects around the world. So right now that's what I'm working on. I have a team in India and I'm talking to a few people in Ghana, and my next move is to find a team in Gambia. where we can tell stories of people and their mental health stories, or it could be anything that has to do with people just like struggling, basically telling those stories, and then like presenting it to like on a much bigger audience, so that people know that, hey, like, pain is basically like around the world and we need to listen. So that's what I do on my company. And at the same time, it's like I'm doing so much. It's just crazy how much work is going on within the company. But on a basic level, I do marketing and advertising for clients around here, especially in Kansas City. And then on my own journey, I do film, and I'm basically trying to raise awareness around mental health. So I'm using film as a vehicle to basically reach the masses. So that's what I do, like a long-winded explanation. Thanks a lot.
That's great. I will come back to the film later. I am still interested in Gambia at this point. Like,
Mhm.
you said Kudang, and Kudang, it brought a lot of memories to me,
Okay.
because my late father
Mhm.
worked for Axon Aid, and he worked at Kudang
Yeah.
for many years.
Mhm.
And I have never really been to Kudang,
Mhm.
but I heard a lot about Kudang.
Yeah.
And then you said you also mentioned that the Ceesay Kundas and the Dumbias,
Mhm.
they are very very smart people.
Mhm.
But if I don't know that,
Oh yeah, yeah.
They
Yeah,
love
to
food.
eat.
they don't know that, they
Yeah,
love food.
Ceesay Kunda. Yeah, we definitely love to eat.
Tell me a little bit about what growing up in Gambia
Mhm.
was like for you.
Interesting. That's well. I mean, I had a really great childhood, like growing up in Gambia, because, I, me living in America right now, it's like showing me how lucky I was to grow up in a family where you had your dad and mom, you had a stable family. You know your grandparents. You know so many uncles to a point that it's like even annoying back then. But now I'm just like, man, I'm like so grateful that I grew up in such a very community-based family. But I grew up around a lot of people, and I always wanted to just be away, basically. But I always loved that aspect of like waking up, and then there's like your uncle here, your cousin over there, your grandpa over there. There's everybody like in the house. And then breakfast is like 10 people getting tea by the time. So you
Yeah.
have to wake up early
Oh, yeah.
in order to like get tea. And it's like my grandma would wake up super early and like make all the breakfast. So I grew up in that type of environment where everything was community. And when it comes to friends, I had a really good group of friends that we like grew up together, and I was like one of the best soccer players. Like, I'm not even kidding. But well, like whenever we go play a game and then we come back home, like all the kind of like the older guys in the street were like, "So did you score any goals?" I'm just like, "Yeah, I did." And they're like, we know it, like make us proud, So that's the type of community that I grew up, where everyone had like an impact in my life in some way or another, and it was all kind of like really good positive impact. So I mean, even though I always wanted to be away, that's because as a kid, I was struggling with a lot of like anxiety and depression and like all these things due to some experiences that I had with me watching my best friend. His name was Ablijah. He's a really great kid. He knows how to play soccer too really well, but I was better than him. But it was like he actually drowned right in front of me. After one of our games, we decided to go celebrate, and he drowned. So after that happened, something happened within me. As far as like my confidence and not being able to like process what just happened. But everyone was just like saying, you know what, we're gonna pray for you. Sorry this happened to you, but that was it. And I was a kid, and I was attached to him as my friend, and that was something that like broke me because I didn't really know how to deal with it. It's like my friend died. Okay, so what now? And I wasn't able to play the game as best as I used to because for some reason he was gone, and the position was always empty. Where whenever I look, because he used to play flank, right, and I'll play the left flank or strike. So he was the guy who was always shooting the ball,
Yeah.
and it was like he wasn't there anymore, and that kind of did something to me. And while I was going through all that, the whole stress, and I also got like molested by the neighborhood, you know, like I believe he's from Morocco. It's like the one, the one Arab guy who like
Yeah.
lives in the neighborhood. So he ended up like doing his thing, and then that also confused me as a little kid, and like what the heck, like what just happened. So and that was something that I never actually shared with anyone, and that also added more stress to me as a little kid back then, and then wanting to just leave the country and not have to ever see him again. And so growing up, I had a lot of shame, and that also put me in a really uncomfortable, dark place. And it led to me leaving soccer and just wanting to just never want to play soccer again because of such traumatic, two events that happened. So eventually I stopped playing soccer, and I did everything that I can, academically to get good grades, because I knew that if I passed and have good grades, it's easier for me to tell my dad, hey, I want to leave the country, so can you help me? So that happened. So that's how I ended up in America.
That's good.
Yeah.
We all have a lot of soccer stories, man.
Mhm.
I played a lot of soccer.
Mhm.
I never really was the best soccer player.
Mhm.
I started as a striker too. I had a couple of memorable goals.
Mhm.
Uh, Growing up in Brikama, in Kunta Kinte,
Mhm.
in Brikama Jamisa Primary School.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm from Brikama Drumakolo.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely heard of that.
So I played soccer around that area, not really something big. And then I went to school, and I broke my hand playing soccer when I was younger. So we all had soccer stories.
Mhm.
But you know, Gambia is a different environment as far as healing and mental health is concerned,
Yeah.
because we are an environment where you said you're molested, but nobody really talked about it. You can't
Yeah.
really who you going to tell, and when you tell the people,
Mhm.
what are they going to say?
Mhm.
Will they even believe you? Especially
Exactly.
at that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the biggest victims of mental health in Gambia are women. I never really knew that there's a thing called postpartum depression
Dude. Yeah.
until I came
Mhm.
to the United States, and then I heard of postpartum depression.
Yeah.
My sympathy goes out to Gambian women who are having kids,
Mhm.
and then first of all, the facilities is not the best. They give bad, and then they just go home
Mhm.
and go to their families.
Yeah.
Nobody really checks their mental health to know exactly where their mental state is. It's never really a thing. Every single Gambian needs to make that a priority,
Mhm.
and make that an agenda in our daily activities, whatever it is that we are doing.
Mhm.
We need to create an environment that is mentally comfortable and mentally what's the word I'm looking for?
Safe.
That is mentally safe
Mhm.
for every single person, the kids and the women. I'm still going to emphasize on the women,
Definitely.
simply because of the facilities that are available as far as postpartum depression is concerned,
Mhm.
and many of those things.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I definitely like agree, because especially like women in like Africa, they're expected to do basically everything.
Okay.
Be the mom, take care of the household, and even though our parents back then, back home, they'll have so much to say about the Western culture.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the woman back Africa is doing way too much for, because me too. I came from a very big family. My grandpa has 3 wives, so many kids, and it's like my grandma had to like give birth, and then do it again, and it's like do it again. So it's like, oh my God, like the body itself, it's so traumatized from going through that process over and over again. But it's like the fact that like the religion back then, you know, it's such a very important, like not even important, but like such an interesting thing to how like women are like approached in like general, and that's like a very like sensitive topic. It's
Yes.
like it's a
Yes.
whole different segment to like
Yes.
talk about. But yeah, I definitely agree. When it comes to like PTSD, like women are very traumatized in Gambia, and they have to live their day pretty much every day, and with some form of trauma. So that's something that I'm definitely like interested in. That's why I'm starting it here in America, because I know that if I can have this country's backing, when I say backing, like the organizations here, because some of them, not all of them obviously, but some of them want to do something, but they don't know how to do it. They just go to Africa and build all these things and then leave, and then it's like the Africans don't they're like, okay, what now? What do we do with all the things? We can't even maintain them. So my goal is to partner as many people as I can. That's why I'm trying to do this on a global level. I'm finding people in Kenya, India, like Gambia, like all these different countries, so that I can bring the conversation by starting it here, and then all right, let's go to Africa now. What can we do? And that's a political like agenda with my film. That's a personal agenda, and also a very community-based agenda. So there's so much happening at the same time. That's why earlier I wasn't able to like give you a very specific answer, because pretty much my goals have different stages, but it requires a lot of patience for me to go through them. And things I believe it's going to happen, but probably not in my own lifetime. I just want to start the process, and then hopefully someone will like continue the same process, because the damage has been done for a very long time, and some of the people that are causing the damage are so comfortable doing it that they don't even realize it's a problem. So the education is lacking. So that's what we need to even do more. And then the awareness itself is actually trying to put them in those shoes of the people that are abusing, that actually got caught or something. So it's like trying to put them in that scenario so that they can be like, oh wow, that's exactly what I do. So this is what this means. This is what PTSD is. So this is what I'm causing to my wife, like to my kids. Because the thing is, some people don't know that they're doing it, so to them it's not a problem. So that's why to me the education is so important, and then it gets to the awareness, which is putting them in that same position, and then we can get to the actual solution, which is politically that's where most of the problem is. Yeah.
For you it's a little not to make light of of your grandmother, but it's a couple of generations of the generation before you. In my situation, my mom had 8 kids, all in Gambia, with something as sensitive as mental health. How do I approach her to have conversations about postpartum depression? How do I even break it down to her without her thinking that I'm saying this is crazy? My mom is educated, and hopefully at some point we are able to sit down and have these conversations. And maybe that will give her a platform to almost kind of vent and kind of just let some of that energy out. And just heal. But like I said, mental health is a taboo in Africa. It's something that people barely speak about. We really don't speak about it, and we castigate people who are mentally unstable. We segregate them completely. You go to Africa, and you have somebody who has mental challenges. They will be sometimes they will be in shackles, or sometimes in Gambia they will walk around, just loiter around the streets, homeless and not well kept, and sometimes they will be walking around with no clothes on. It's just sad that these are realities in Africa's day and age. At this point, I think we should have gone past some of those stages, but it all boils down to whatever we have going on in Africa, especially the political system. But I'm not interested in anything political myself personally. I don't really participate in anything that has to do with politics, because I think in Africa, if you want to wait for African politicians to do anything correct, you will probably die waiting. This little platform that I use, I will also use it to advocate for mental health. And I think everybody should be communicating mental health in the Gambia, in any part of Africa, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, Cameroon, Morocco, everywhere, South Africa. Senegal, every place, we need to make mental health an African problem because
Oh,
it's an African problem. We need to make it an African conversation.
Definitely, I can definitely like like relate to the things that you were saying because my mom also has like eight she has 8 kids too, so it's like you know um, with her it's like even impossible to have that conversation. But whenever I talk about like the awareness stages where we try to put people in that scenario or that mindset to actually get out of their own understanding of things and then see things in different light. So the example that I like to share is like imagine two people whose legs were broken.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the hospital, they decided to just like lean on each other and go from point A to point B and continue doing their day-to-day activities. Even though they can move, they're still going through excruciating pain. And if they don't go to the hospital ever, then that leg is going to heal, and eventually it's going to heal funny or heal very weird way, and that's going to continually hurt until they go and get help. So it's the same thing with like mental health. Even though we look okay, we're walking around, going to work, doing our own business, but at the end of the day, we're gonna come home, feeling all these emotions that we don't understand, which is like getting extremely anxious or getting depressed, which is at the core is that we're experiencing all these things, but we're not getting the help that we need to actually understand how to navigate those feelings and those what's the word again? Like those
Emotions.
yeah, or the psychologists will like call like stressors, because sometimes you have triggers around your environment that will take you into that mindset where you can easily fall back into that depression. So it's like knowing how to acknowledge what that is and be like, okay, all right, so this thing stresses me out or this thing makes me anxious, so I'm going to make sure that I am mentally ready to face that, just to avoid getting falling back into that depressive state. So it's basically just going to talk to someone, or therapy doesn't always have to be you going and sitting with a therapist or a psychologist and talking. Sometimes it could be like reading a book or talking to a family member or doing some activity where you actually are going inwards and like listening to the things that you were saying and in your head, and actually being aligned with those things. So it's basically just figuring out what's happening, and that's something that a lot of people don't do because it's really hard to actually go and listen to the things that are going in your head. So yeah, that's basically something that I like to share.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the reason why you ventured into creating a film called the Freedom Project, which is basically a film that is about mental health?
Yes.
So my question, as far as the film is concerned, is what is the film about, and two, how far along are you as far as production is concerned?
Yeah. So the film, it's actually called just Freedom Project.
Freedom
It's
Project.
like the habit of saying the Freedom Project, but it's just Freedom Project. So I decided to do the film because when I first came to America, I noticed a lot of things that we're going through. Because back in Africa, I had that support system, that community. But when I came to America, I was only living with my uncle, and he was working all the time, and I had to spend a lot of alone time with myself. And I knew that there was something going on as far as how I was feeling. I feel very depressed because I didn't have that community that I always had. And for some reason, my stutter even got so bad that I could not even talk. And eventually, I was able to go see a therapist, and that basically taught me what was wrong with me. And through that process of going through therapy and understanding all these things that were happening in my head, and being able to relate it back to my past of my friend passing away and me getting molested, that was such a huge revelation in myself as a person and my journey to become more self-aware. And somehow I literally, my stutter, as you can see, it got way better, because before I cannot even talk. But it's like being able to experience that, I decided, okay, why isn't mental illness or mental health a topic? Why are we not talking about the illness on TV? Why aren't we
having discussions in schools about mental illness, and that was the reason why I decided to do a film about it. It's because I believe that the more people are aware of what it is, then they're more likely to actually go and like seek out help or want to understand what's wrong with them. Because I never knew about it, and apparently it was such a big factor in me, in my life, in my journey, and how my entire life was basically limited by the things that I did not know, which was that I had extreme like anxiety. Like my heart would beat so loud. It was so weird. Like I used to always feel like I'm gonna pass out any minute because my heart was just uncontrollably beating. And that, me looking back at me before therapy, it was just scary and just so lonely. And I decided, you know what, the best way to raise awareness is to do a film and basically educate people how to understand, number one, understand what mental illness is, and be able to identify what that looks like and what are the things that can actually trigger those emotions, and when that happens, when you have a breakdown, what to do, like and on the family perspective, how to support someone who is experiencing mental illness. When it comes to the process, we've already done the first episode, and the goal is to do 16, but we've only done one. So the one was the hardest thing to do. It took me 4 years to do one episode, but now that I've done the one episode, it definitely opened so many doors, as far as other companies joining in, like marketing is going on right now. We're shooting so many different videos and building teams on a global level. And I was recently just picked as a mental health hero with Kevin Love. That was a cool thing, especially after doing something for so long and not getting anyone recognizing it. Where I've talked to some, especially the city of Kansas City for the past year, and the response have been very limited. But to be acknowledged by a major basketball player in America, Kevin Love, he's like the face of mental health in sports. They decided to call me a mental health hero, so I'm like like an official mental health hero for his organization. So I'm hoping that will make the process easier, but that's just it's probably not going to make it any more easier. It's still going to be very challenging, but I'm just happy that that happened, because that kind of like gives me like a you what you're doing is good. And I've also been getting a lot of emails from people that are just watching and not saying anything, but they're going out of their way to email me and say, yo, like I appreciate what you're doing, man. Like I didn't even know what anxiety was or what depression was, but watching your content and just listening, I've learned so much about myself. Or they'll tell me, how can I get help? They're like, can you connect me with a therapist? So these are the things that would also keeps me going. But before all those things happen, it was just very quiet. It was just me just like being very focused and be like, this is going to change people's life. I'm going to do it anyway, whether I get any acknowledgement or not. But it's happening now, so I'm cool with it. Yeah.
The recognition, man, that is huge, man. We're talking about an NBA champion. We are talking about somebody who is actually the face of mental health in sport. Kevin Love is not just a regular basketball player. He's been a superstar for a long time. He's been a superstar since he was in UCLA.
Yeah. And
been in the league for a long time. For his foundation to recognize what you're doing and call you a mental health hero, and that's a first-time thing. You will probably in the history books right now.
I know.
Congratulations on that, and
no, thank you.
Keep on working really, really hard, and everything is gonna fall in place. Man, we've been talking about some deep stuff, man. Let's talk about some happy
something light. Right?
Let's talk about some happy stuff, man. You're also a parent, and how has parenthood affected you?
Man, like a lot. Earlier, I talked about patience and me being a dad and watching my son basically learn everything. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, just pick it up. But it's like, but he doesn't get the idea. And me watching him just like trying things and failing and keep going no matter what. Sometimes he would like hit his head, and then he'll come running and cry, and then he goes back and do the same thing. Yeah. And I'm just like, you're gonna get hurt again. But he's like, nope, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna do it anyway. So that like persistent in a little child somehow like motivates me to do what I'm doing right now, even though it's very challenging. But I can tell that my son is also pursuing so many challenging things, like learning how to walk and running and learning how to talk, and always just blabbling things that make sense. But that doesn't stop him from talking. So these are things that like motivate me as well. As a parent, in a weird way, I'm supposed to teach him, but he's like teaching me all these things to like not give up, like pursue the things that you love. Like whenever he likes something, he doesn't stop. He's gonna show it love to like the mass. And it's like that's what every kid does. Whenever they care about something, they show all the emotions. So whenever they're mad, they show everything. It's like they don't hold back. So that like pure a sense of being able to show your emotions to like the max. I feel like that also helped me in my journey in this, to be able to talk about my mental illnesses and talk about things like getting molested, like things that people don't usually talk about, because all these things were super hard to talk about before. But now it's just like I just talk about it and it's just normal, because I have already accepted it. And I feel like somewhere being a dad definitely helped me, because I don't want any kid to have to go through that again. So it's like,
Me definitely, my life changed a lot when I became a father. What having a child has taught me is that human beings, we are never made to be people that give up. We are never made to be given up. Because my daughter, watching her learn how to sit, I will sit her down, and then she will fall, but she will struggle to get back up and try to sit again, and she will fall and she will do it again. But even the falling did not stop her from trying to sit again. And I caught myself saying, I just pray that one day she never loses that fight to pursue something that she really wants to achieve.
Definitely.
Because we get older, and life happens, and we face a lot of challenges, we face a lot of struggles, and we settle. We give in. When we give in, we settle. When we find a little comfort, we settle in that comfort, and we don't want to learn anymore. We don't want to evolve. And once you stop learning, you don't evolve anymore, and you just get stagnant. And I don't understand sometimes if the harshness of life is the reason why we actually just give in and just settle for a mediocre life.
No, definitely.
But definitely having a kid made me start looking at things completely in a different light.
No, man, I definitely agree. I feel like somewhere deep down, the reason why I'm even doing this project, another reason, is for my son to grow up in a space where he can talk about things like mental illness and things like this, the things that are bothering him, and not have to feel like he has to hold back. So, but yeah, I mean, life is hard, man. It's gonna throw some unexpected curves at you, which you have no idea how to deal with them. So being able to accept yourself and all their cool things and uncool things about yourself would definitely help anyone in their process, just living in this very hard planet. Because self-love is very important, man, and just being able to understand yourself. So that's that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing this documentary, because I want him to understand himself and be able to accept himself no matter what. It's like with this segment, it doesn't matter what we talk about, it always gets deep.
Always. It's always, man, that's...
Maybe we can play a game.
That's always been our conversations, though.
Yeah.
Our conversations are always conversations that they're directed towards goals.
Yeah.
And directed towards growth and success and all of that in one big package. So let me switch things a little bit, right? What advice do you have for a young boy in the Gambia who is thinking about coming to the United States? Most of the time, nobody really tells them exactly
What to expect.
what to expect in the United States. So
Yeah.
when we get here, we just find ourselves in this big country that moves at a pace that is a little faster than
Yeah.
Gambia,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is just way more than
Big time.
we think.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get here, and then we are lost. Sometimes we don't even know what course to study. Really lost. We're trying to figure it out on our own.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have
Mm-hmm.
for, let's say, a young kid in the Gambia who's trying to get to the United States? When they get here, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, you know, me, before I came here, I had so many expectations. So if I'm to give an advice to like someone in Gambia who is like all like big eye excited to come to America, it's like, yeah, you know, it's a great country for sure. It's like, you know, there's so many opportunities here, and you can literally be, you know, whatever you want to be. And you know, it is possible, because I've seen people that achieve greatness. However, on the flip side is that you just have to be ready to like take so many challenges. It's not easy, you know. Like you said, everything here is different, and you know, the people are different. You know, the things that we're used to back in Africa, like going to anyone's house and just be family right away.
Yeah.
Here it's not like that. You know, it's like people are very like, especially in 2020, 2021, people are very like separated. There's so much anxiety happening. So it's like someone young coming here always have a goal to a reason why you're coming here. You know, it should not be, I'm coming here because, you know, I saw cool things on TV. Even though that's the reason why I'm here, is because I saw so many cool things.
Yeah.
And you know, my whole reason to why I came here was all upside down. But that's because I didn't have a plan. But you know, if I had to go back and do everything again, I'm probably gonna do it exactly how I did it. But just like someone who is coming here and then wants to actually, you know, for example, go to school and like learn something. It's like, have a plan, which is figure out first what are the things that you care about, and you know, what are your values, because your values are going to get challenged when you come here, because you are getting dipped into a whole different culture, and some people are gonna laugh at the things that you believe in coming from Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes if your spirit is not strong enough, you're gonna fall into that temptation, and then start doing things that you would never do. So which goes against everything that you believe in. So sometimes it's okay to go outside of the things that you believe in for a little bit, but you have to have that foundation, those values, those family values that you have, to always pull you back and be like, okay, all right, this is too far, come back. You know, so those are the things that I feel like it should be a priority for anyone who's wanting to come to America, which is, you know, have a plan. If you're coming here for school, make sure that while you're in school, you get your papers.
Yeah.
Figure that out, whatever way you can, because if you don't have the right papers, man, it's gonna be extremely hard for you to leave here. So, yeah, have a plan. Make sure that you stick to your values, but be free enough to like go around it and dance around it and explore yourself and get to know yourself deeper. But don't go too far, because if you go too far, it's really hard to come back. Yeah.
That's a really good piece of advice, because this country, boy, the party scene the party scene in this country is, boy, so amazing. It's so beautiful. Oh man, the party scene in this country, is amazing. You come here and that's all you want to do, you will die partying.
Definitely.
Hold yourself accountable.
Definitely.
To where you are like, you know what, I came here for a reason. Let me stop for a little bit and focus on some of the things that brought me here.
Yep.
Let me focus on what's needed. Trying to get your immigration situation sorted out. That should be every single person's priority when you get here. And not only that, Gambia parties as hard as the United States, if not more, because in Gambia, you're in the club until 6 a.m. You're getting home, and the women are sweeping the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are coming from the mosque for 5 a.m. prayers, and you are just leaving the clubs.
I know, yeah.
And in Gambia, you go to the clubs, and then at 3 a.m. you're in the streets with somebody's daughter, just lollygagging. Here, that's not a thing. That's not a thing in this country. And then Also, this country, man, this country just finds a way of, of, of hitting you hard. You know, here we go again, back to mental
It will
health.
break you, man.
Here,
Like,
back to mental health. It's different. Gambia is so,
it's very
it's so
supportive.
commune. One time, man, I was not going to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they started making it a problem at home. Why aren't you at church? Why are you not at church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to church, but soon as soon as church is over,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hang around. I just
You just leave.
leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that to this day, I had left church, went home, changed into shorts, and I was walking. The church in Brikama is right next to the Brikama police station.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the Brikama police station is a field where we play
Yeah.
warga warga. As I was walking back to go to this warga warga,
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy called Paul Preda.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Preda is my friend's elder brother. And he was like, why aren't you at church? I said, yeah, I came to church today.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Preda is also he's like a family member
Mm-hmm.
because he knows my pretty much my entire family.
Yeah, it's like
He's
an
friends with
adopted family member.
my uncles, and he knows everyone. And he says, why aren't you at church?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I was at church. And then, but he was also, he taught me before. He was also a school teacher.
Yeah.
He made me stand there and ask questions about the mass readings and stuff, but I was able to answer all the questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he said, why didn't you stay? I said, every time I come to church, right after the church, the mass is ended, I just leave. He said, the reason for coming to church,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's the same reason for going to the mosque too, is community. Soon as mass is ended, you are creating that community with people. You hang around a little bit
Yeah.
and talk to people, and
Definitely.
that is all part of a community process where healing is done. That you meet people, they care about you. He cared. I've been going to the same church in America. I've not been to church in a while. This same people that I see there, if I say hi to them after church, sometimes they don't even respond. They don't know my name. I don't know about Juma in America. I've seen just one Juma in America. When it's Friday, it's right next to my job. It's so many cars pulling in. They're going for private prayers. But there's no nodder. You know, back in the Gambia, when they call for prayer loudly, they don't do that here loudly. So
Yeah.
you have to make it a point of duty to be at the Juma every Friday to pray, to do Juma prayers. And even if you are going to Juma prayers, that community in Gambia, I know some of my friends who don't really go to Juma a lot, and the other friends will be like, bro, did you go to Juma? And those things are all things that are community, you are involved in the community.
Definitely.
You know your neighbor, you know your neighbor's neighbor, you know everybody pretty much in the whole neighborhood knows each other. Here, they don't have that here.
Yeah,
when you
definitely.
come, it's completely different. I have a neighbor next door. I don't know his name. He does not know my name. When I see him, it's, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? And that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so those are some experiences that will actually affect you mentally because you're always in the house. You're always sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Which is the community part of it is very, very lacking. And I'm not saying this is the exact story for everyone living in the United States. Some people have a lot of Gambian presence around them. Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
Some people live in areas where it's community based. Some people don't have it. But this is my experience that I am talking
definitely.
about. And just that change it means a lot. If you are not prepared to adapt in situations like that, you will definitely affect it a lot.
No, definitely.
And I just want to say thank you to Paul Preda, wherever he's at. And he's a big man now. He has he's living his best life. Paul, if you ever see this, I need you to send me some money, okay?
Right, I know. I mean, I also have a figure like that, like a Paul.
Yeah.
So when my friend actually drowned, that week, I was going back to the beach, just hanging out there and just trying to figure out what happened basically. And somewhere I was hoping that he's gonna swim back out.
Yeah.
So I would like go back to the beach and sit there. So one time, one of my uncle, he's actually like my uncle, my mom's younger brother. He heard that I was at the beach again, and he came running to the beach, and then brought me back home. But he beat me throughout from the beach all the way to the house. He like beat me from the beach to the house, and then one time I was actually smoking, and then someone reported me. And it's that that's his thing. Whenever he catches me doing something,
Yeah.
he makes sure that the whole world, the whole Gambia knows about it. So he caught me smoking, and then he beat me from wherever I was all the way to the house,
bro.
And then still today, I don't even like smoking. Like it's like whenever I see his face, I was like, I think I'm traumatized by those actions.
It's crazy how it's a very famous saying that says it takes a village to raise a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's literally takes a village to raise a kid in Gambia. I remember when we used to have the magnetic earrings.
I used to wear them.
When I'm leaving the house, I'll put them in my pocket. So I left the house as I was walking. I met my uncle Paul Cachel. I met him, but he was on a bicycle. Before I could see him, I was already like right there. So it's either I do this or I'm just there like.
Okay, well you caught me.
So at this point, I'm just playing, hoping he didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
And he just said, you know what? I'm not going to ruin whatever you have going on. Go, but just know that the next time I see you, we are going to have this conversation.
Dude.
And I dodged him forever.
Yeah.
I dodged him forever, bro. And it's crazy how the next time I seen him, the first thing he said, it was in front of my dad and my mom. The first thing he said is that earring stuff.
I also have the same story with my dad. I had my magnetic earrings on.
Yeah.
And I was like in the street, just playing soccer with my friends, and we were talking while just sitting down. And then all my friends kept quiet, and I was like, what the heck? And I turned, and it was just my dad behind me. He was like, he slapped me so hard that the earring just like flew. I was like, damn. It's like in front of my friends too. Like, I was like, he didn't even hold back. So, it was such a funny scene when I think about it, because I had no idea he was behind me. He's like a ninja, just creep on me.
Yeah, bro. African parents.
It's like they're so against earring, even till now.
Yeah.
I don't even take my earring off, but whenever he's around, I'm always just like
courteous.
Courteous. Like this dude may just throw hands. Yeah. Like literally, I'm just making sure that he's not just gonna be like. Poosh.
I pierced my ears before, and then before they heal, I took a picture and I put it on Instagram, and the picture. Somehow my brother seen it, and they told my dad, and he, God bless his soul, man. May his soul rest in peace. My dad has a way of saying things. His voice, the way he says things, his voice is just, I don't even know how to say it, but the experience of listening to him talk is just amazing. He just says, you have to choose between being a man or being a woman or being in between. He said you have to choose between the way he said it in the local language in my kind, you have to choose between being a man, being a woman, but you cannot be in between. And he also said if you feel like being a transgender too, you have to make a choice. But you cannot option. Yeah, but you cannot just be a man and dress like a woman. And I was just quiet for a long time. I was looking at the picture. I said, I had a shirt and tie on. How is this? What is feminine about this?
Yeah, you're like.
And then I looked at the earrings and I was like, so the earrings are actually a feminine thing. That's how he looked at it.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of our culture, of the African culture. How our parents they have a rule for everything. As a man, the rule for a man is earrings is not part of
Yep.
an outfit for a man. Supposed to do certain things too, because
Yeah.
there is also not part of what a woman is expected to do.
Yeah.
It's the tradition is just, it's just beautiful sometimes, but sometimes it's just not fair.
Yeah, it's just it's too much expectations for sure. Like, and one thing, you know, even me as a little kid, I used to ask so many questions. Like whenever someone tells me that, oh, you're not supposed to do this,
Yeah.
and I was like, why? And then they're like, I don't know, my grandma said it, and
Yeah.
I was like, go ask grandma. And grandma, why are you telling everybody not to do this? And she's like, well, my mom told me. I'm just like, well, I can't ask your mom because she's
This
dead.
is dead. But it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's healthy because
It's very innocent. It's
it's
like,
very innocent. It is very innocent and very pure because it has given everybody a reason to do something right. Because if, let's say, if my mom did not see me, and my uncle, even if my uncle did not see me, best believe, if my neighbor sees me doing something wrong, he does not have a problem beating me up.
oh yeah, yeah.
And when he beats me up for something that I did wrong, and I get home and they find out what the reason is, I'm getting an
Beat
extra.
more.
I'm getting. I'm telling you, one day I was chased by him. I had to run, and when I got home, they asked me what I did.
and you got more whipping. Like,
I got
it's
beat.
like everybody's just like entitled to like some ass whooping in like Africa. It's like, as long as I know you,
Yeah.
just know that I can beat you at like any, at some point.
At
so
some point,
be
if you
careful
be
around.
careful. And
It's like, I'm
that-
not gonna snitch on you, but I'll beat you.
I'll beat you up.
And then when you get home, your parents are gonna call me. I'm like, this is what he. I was like, oh, that's what he did. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're like, but
it's
he just
healthy.
beat me. It's enough now. But yeah.
It's growing up in Gambia. You know, that is one we never really appreciate that upbringing and those values being put under that much pressure growing up by our parents and the environment and the community. We never really appreciate that until we get out of the Gambia, and then we look back, and then those memories become something that are really something that is
Special.
really special and beautiful. And we look back at them and we're like, man, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful that I went through this.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that this actually really happened. You know, I just wanted to say that thank you, man. Thank you for coming here and sitting down with me and having this conversation, man. We started out in a really dark space, man.
Yeah.
A really heavy space.
No, I
Saying
mean,
some of
it
the-
is good though, because
Yeah,
you know, I feel like this is like therapy session.
therapy,
You see,
yeah.
therapy doesn't have to be you talking to a psychologist, therapist. Just it could be a friend just having a conversation. It can be healing. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely honored to be here as well too, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to say, continue working on the stuff you're working on. You're actually definitely in the right path, and
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. And I'm
appreciate you.
proud of you, man. And keep winning, man. Keep winning this
I'll
platform.
do my best. You know, we can have a drink at the top someday.
Yeah, someday, definitely. Definitely. This platform is made for people like you to give you an opportunity to speak to the people who are back home, to the people who are here, to tell your story, to tell some of the experiences you've been through, and how those experiences are affecting your day-to-day life, how your life has changed, how what you're doing is changing other people's life, and then hopefully, you know, we can give back to the people in the Gambia, and hopefully the people in America too who are watching. They can understand what the African experience is.
Yeah.
When we come from Africa, when we get here, some of the things we go through, and some of the adjustments we need to do, and some of the things that are challenges for us that are not challenges for them.
Yeah.
And you know, thank you so very much, man. Thank you.
No, definitely, man. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you,
very
man.
much, man.
Yep.